when I lived my whole childhood being scared my mom was gonna die. You think you're gonna scare me? You think you're gonna hurt me?
Welcome back to Common Denominator, the podcast where we uncover the universal truths that connect us all through real conversations about resilience, purpose, and possibility. I'm your host, Moshe Popek, and today's guest is someone who needs no introduction. Gary Vaynerchuk. Gary V is known as an entrepreneur, investor, cultural icon. He took his family's small liquor store and turned it into a national wine empire, launched one of the first YouTube shows that changed how brands connect with people, built and sold Empathy Wines, scaled VaynerMedia into a global agency serving Fortune 500 companies, and continues to innovate with VFriends, hospitality ventures, sports teams, and more.
I'm a firefighter. I'm a wartime general. When shit's bad, I'm at my best. I'm at my strongest.
Gary and I share similar roots, values, and a deep belief in building communities with love and authenticity. So this isn't about surface level hustle talk or flashy success. It's about stripping things back and asking, what really fuels Gary V?
There is a point in your life where you have to become the grown-up, and the blame of your parents and your circumstance has to subside to the early chapters of your story, and you must take over the middle chapters. How about that fear was the currency of my childhood, which is why I became so comfortable and easily able to deal with it.
Welcome to Common Denominator, Gary. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
So I know, right, we've seen throughout the years many different experiences that you've had as far as being on social media and things like that. But what does a typical day for you look like nowadays?
Since COVID, I've been much more Gary Vaynerchuk than I've been Gary V, meaning the 4 or 5 years leading up to COVID, I was heavily balancing my personal brand and my companies, predominantly VaynerMedia/VaynerX, Vayner Sports, the wine business, and startups like Resi and Empathy Wines and things of that nature. Then over COVID, I obviously created VFriends, my Pokemon-like business, and that's become a bigger part of my life. And then VaynerX itself exploded and became a much bigger company. So post-COVID, outside of being when we were back into the real world, not in our apartments or homes, I've become much more operator Gary, right? A lot of, I, in fact, me doing this show with you
Mm.
and is like the beginning of me getting back into the Gary V of it all a little bit. I'm at 2026. If I see you at the airport like a year from today, you're gonna be like, bro, you're killing it. You're everywhere in every feed, every show. You're just everywhere. So I'm making a conscious effort to get back into vlogging, get back into live streaming, get back into even more thoughtful and at scale social creative. So a typical day today, really looks like 8:30 to 8:30, 12 straight hours, no lunch, no breaks, and every minute in my calendar is booked. And it is business meetings and operational meetings for VaynerX, my 2,000 plus person global holding company for marketing companies that I own, like VaynerMedia and others, and with VFriends, my intellectual property, NFT, trading cards, cartoons business called VFriends, along with supporting meetings for VCR, my restaurant group, VaynerWatt, my TV production company that's just starting to put shows on TV, Vayner Sports, which has become much bigger, badder, and better, um, and my pickleball team and the wine business, winetex.com, that everyone should sign up for. And so that's where I'm at, brother. I'm an operator right now.
I relate to it very much because I have that drive, many things going on in my life as a real estate investor. If you don't know, I have, and the struggle within me, I have 11 children that's running. So Gary, tell me about you as a father, right?
Yeah,
That's what
of course.
I want to try to figure out. Like, do you
Well,
schedule time with your kids?
well,
How does that work?
the way I handle fatherhood is two things. First, for what I think you're really dealing with, which is an 11 is a whole different kind of, you're playing at a Hall of Fame level. And, you know, I have 2, and what mine are 16 and 13, and a 16-year-old New York City girl that is a tremendous student and has big ambitions and has a social life, like, you're lucky if you see them, let alone, like, they're scheduling with you in reverse, right? So, couple things. The first thing I would tell you with 11, me with 2, people in between, or people with soon to be, they're at none, but they're soon to have 1. Work-life balance, balancing fatherhood with what you want to provide financially, emotionally, spiritually, both for your family and for the world, which is what you and I are doing on top of the normal stuff, is is very important to understand.
Yeah.
No, and here's what I mean by that. You, brother, you are grading your own homework on this issue. I think one of the biggest mistakes that parents make is they judge themselves negatively when they're trying so hard. To answer your question directly, I do everything. Sometimes scheduling,
Hmm.
sometimes ad hoc at scale, sometimes super deep, meaning like just hovering and suffocating them of like, what are we doing? What do you want to do? Like, that. Other times letting them chill and reverse engineering what they want to be spending time on and doing. Plus, as how old is your oldest?
So my oldest just started law school. He's almost 20. So
Great.
almost 20 and I have a 19-month-old.
Right.
Yeah.
So you know this then perfectly, which is from 19-month-old to 12, 13, 14, you're their
Mm,
whole world.
mm,
But then when they become 14, 15, 16, 17, their social circle becomes their whole world.
yeah.
So, I think this time's precious when they're under 15 for everyone who's listening. If you got a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-year old and it's overwhelming and you're like, ugh, this is a
Mm.
drag in some ways, you're gonna blink and they're gonna be out of your house and you're gonna wish they were back in it. And so for me personally, brother, I've tried to maximize the depth of it when we have it. I remind people that beat themselves up that check this out. If you if you don't work on the weekends and you're with your family, and if you take 6 weeks of vacation a year, right? The 2 spring break weeks, the last 2 weeks in August, and that Thanksgiving/Christmas, Hanukkah, that end of year stuff, right? So if you take 6 weeks off and you
Mm.
have the weekends, you're physically off from working 35% of the year.
Yeah. I always have this joke. I was like, come Memorial Day to Labor Day, typically it's not, maybe they'll be there, people will be there, but their minds are somewhere else in the summer. And then come from Thanksgiving to the second week in January, people's minds are also so actually getting stuff done, right?
That's right. So to me, for the young entrepreneurs listening, that's when you attack when everyone else is half in.
Mhm.
And then for the parents or the people that are falling in love for the first time or the people with aging parents, you take advantage of those moments where when you're leaning in, it doesn't hurt you too much professionally.
Yeah. I was thinking it's just as far as like, because I know, where does that come from for you? Like the grit and the underdog. There's always a story, and I know that's probably why the passion of human psychology that you have. Like, what's the story, your personal story of where that came from? I know my wife, I'm second generation, and my wife's parents are immigrant parents, 1979. They came from Eastern Europe, so similar, grew up in Queens.
Yep.
But
Same shit.
but exactly, right, similar, right? It's like, where does
Your wife,
that come from for
your wife,
you?
your wife was born here.
She was born in 1982 in Queens, in Rego
Right. My
Park.
sister was born in 79 in Queens, but
Yeah.
I'm unique because I actually was born in the old country. And I think for the immigrants that are listening now, there's a subgroup of us that we ourselves are actual immigrants, meaning we were not born in America.
Mm.
And we're like half parent, half kid when you're like that. So we're even a different group than your wife, than my sister, which is really neat. That's a whole subculture within itself of the people that are immigrants and grinders and come from nothingers. And, look, I think to your point, I think I'm a very cliche story, right? It's very easy to be hungry when you weren't fed, you know?
But how do you continue that, right? Is it just
Oh, it's
at
for
this point you're in your DNA probably?
Yeah, I think it's in your DNA, but for me, it's actually a little bit different. It's the actual non-interest in the materialistic and financial
Mhm.
part of the game. I still play because I like the game more than the vacation.
I think that that's the super, super important. I know that every day when I meditate in the morning, I literally pray, please don't connect me to the physical stuff, like physically what's going on, because if that becomes your identity and then you lose that, or, so for me, it's, am I okay? Can I give the best of me? Is my wife okay? Are my 11 kids okay? And that is where my whole drive. So I don't connect, oh my God, I'm meeting with the governor or this president or that person. And I'm sure you're meeting with high, high level people all the time. And I'm sure it doesn't, because you are, what's inside is what's outside for you. So I relate to that a lot. But why is that so important to not, you have all these people showing their cars, flaunting this, flaunting that, and that's fine. It's nice to have nice things, but why is it important, do you find, not to connect to those, physical things in the world?
Because you become vulnerable.
Mm,
I have no interest in losing. And so what I mean by that is, you know, I'm not talking about losing my wealth. I'm talking about losing myself. What the reason I don't get validation from the outside, including buying things to get the admiration from the outside, is because, I mean, first, well parented, humble beginnings, but I'm just emotionally intelligent enough. And I also don't yearn for it. I'm not looking for validation. I have it from
mm,
within myself. I'm
mm,
incredibly detached from my fanciness, from the people I interact with,
mhm,
for the admiration that is bestowed on me. I'm incredibly detached from it. If we knew each other very well and grew up together, you would be, I think I can tell you sense me, right?
sure.
But brother, it's scary. And this may make sense to you based on the way you're talking. Like you probably feel it too, but like I could give a fuck that I'm Gary V. I could give a shit about my bank account. I do not think I'm important, relevant, matter, and worth paying attention to for any of that stuff. I think disproportionately my identity is wrapped up in being a solid dude. And, you know, I'm a solid dude to the 15 politicians or CEOs or celebrities that I interact with. And I'm a solid dude to perfect strangers that I meet on the street. And I'm aware of the difference of a random civilian that stops
Mhm,
from walking and takes a selfie versus me being on the way to having a meeting with one of the rulers of the world. But I don't really feel any validation that I'm in the room with the titans of culture or business or politics. And I surely don't put them on a pedestal because they are the titans of those things. And I'm uh I'm just keeping it real simple. And I definitely don't need a car or a watch or a house as a validator. I'm not
mm.
yearning for it.
It's interesting because from a human psychology standpoint, one of the greatest needs, and my wife, from the time I've known her, we've been married 20 years. She naturally, like you, maybe because of, all that love you got from your mom and dad, like, they were just, my wife's an only child, so
Mm,
she didn't need it. I grew up, kind of a divorced family. It was a little different for me, so
mm.
I had to train, but that need of human validation, it's real. 8.2 billion people, they really, really need, you're wired that way, and I know that, and it comes through, and that's probably why people know you, connect with you, and the same thing with my wife. I know I had to work deeply, deeply, that need, because if you work on that, I think that as a father, as a business owner, as, you're just good. Like, you're
And
good,
and
and
you it's
right?
I'm sorry to interrupt. It's such
Yeah.
it you said it so well. You're good. Like, I'm good, period.
Mm,
I'm good when it's good. I'm good when it's bad. Most of all, I'm great when it's scary.
mm,
That's something I'm very proud of. Over the last decade, many communities, I'm sure this will land with what I'm saying, many communities and subcultures, religions, genders, races get into really scary times. I'm incredibly good. I'm a firefighter. I'm a wartime general. When
mhm,
shit's bad, I'm at my best. I'm at my strongest. to your point, that's all emotional strength. People, I'm just not scared. I'm truly fundamentally not scared. I put no human on a pedestal, including and most of all myself.
Yeah.
And I'm just fucking good, to your point. I'm good. In fact, I'm so good, it's almost like I'm fucking with myself and, like, dream about losing it all to, like, show myself how crazy good I am because here comes all the judgment. Everyone's like, "Oh, Gary V, you were fucking a farce the whole time. See?" Like, people that like me
Yeah.
having a relationship with someone who don't like me, they're like, "See, your guy's a loser. He lost it all." Like, it's such white noise for me
Yeah.
that I'm just good, and honestly, I'm desperate to help people get good because it's really the only thing.
Yeah. I think of the other word fear. I think of all different versions and the noise and the conversation that's going on in your mind. That work, it seems to me that you've done tremendous work or had it that there is no fear. There's just pain. So you have a very, very high tolerance for pain. And then there's pleasure. That's all there is actually. And it seems that fear, because I seem to get quiet and concentrated in the chaos. So I understand that. Was there ever any fear that stopped you and then you had to work it through, or you were always just let's go at a young age and you just jump in always? It's how you were known as a child.
Great fucking question. How about this? How about the reverse? How about that fear was the currency of my childhood, which is why I became so
Hmm.
comfortable and easily able to deal with it. My mother lost her mother at 5. My father lost his father at 15. The soundtrack of my childhood, besides the love of my mother and entrepreneurship and Jersey grit, was the utter crippling fear of my parents dying.
Mm.
By the time I got to 18 and they didn't, my brother, I've been in house money since. You think I'm gonna be fucking scared of you saying that I'm a piece of shit when I'm a 41-year-old man, when I lived my whole childhood being scared my mom was gonna die? You think you're gonna scare me? You think you're gonna hurt me?
Yeah.
So, I think my comfort with adversity is so high because it was a meaningful recurring nightmare. It was a conscious thought pattern of mine. I once Rach, I want you to hear this. I once prayed on my porch when I was 13 because I was watching my brother and sister, and my mom went to go get food or something. She had an appointment. I babysat them, no cell phones back there, and she was a full hour and a half late because there was a major accident on the highway that shut it down for a while, and I literally took my siblings to the porch and made them pray with me that our
Mm.
mom was still alive because she was an hour and a half late. That is a 14, 13-year-old that is scared to lose his mother.
Yeah.
That's like, thank God kids don't have that trauma now because you can just boom, boom, boom. And, these are little subtle things that people don't realize technology has fixed. I wish my mom had a cell phone and I did too in 1989, so I didn't have to pray and be completely scared shitless that my mother was dead, which is why she's not here right now. That's how much it was the soundtrack of my life, thus rendering me at 18 to be an invincible force of superhero because I can't be beat now because my mom and dad didn't die. I won. Now what?
Right. It could have gone right. A lot of people that go through that psychologically, and probably that's why your love of human psychology, you took the long, short way, if you want to call it, towards, and then you're using that as now your superpower. Because a lot of people would be under a bridge. Like your story is a miracle because going through that, I relate to that too. Like in other words, every day, and I was telling my wife the other day, every day was chaos. There wasn't a single day that I remember when I reflect within my energy where I was that was settling.
Because of the separation of your parents?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, that was
Right? And they struggled to handle it well, right?
correct.
Got it. And I have so much empathy for parents, not judgment. And
Mm,
and I have admiration for so many parents that go through separation that are able to stop their pain and fears and hurt at their level and don't let it trickle down. but it's a real story, and there's the divorce story, and then there's the alcoholism story, and there's the mental abuse and the physical abuse, and God forbid, the sexual abuse. Then there's the parents that were so bad with money that it traumatized their kids, and they, went one or the other ways. This is very important for people to hear, actually. This might be actually very liberating and empowering. Everybody has trauma as a child. By the way, let me tell you what
Mm,
would have been the worst thing that could have ever happened to me. I was born into a wildly wealthy, third generation wealthy family because I was so capable and so proud of my own merits.
mm,
It would have crippled me that I was a Nepo baby, and I would have struggled with that.
mm.
So for me, perfect parents, unlimited finance, unlimited vacations and stuff and all that stuff would have devastated me. Today, I would be a more unhappy man if I had the same exact chemicals.
Mm.
So everybody has adversity. And to your point, depending on how well your primary caregiver, your mom or dad, whoever's staying at home with you or around you the most, and your chemicals, your DNA makeup, it becomes very binary to your point.
Yeah.
Mass adversity comes, you are predisposed, and the parent that's guiding you is on the wrong side of it. You're going to have to do a lot of work as an adult to get to the next place. Other side of the pillow, me, tons of adversity, remarkable guider, great DNA, you become a supernova. That is the story.
Yes, and I'll tell you something. A friend of mine I've known for 30 years, he said to me, he saw my 2 boys and their natural rhythm, how they are, and he remembers how I was as a child, and he says, "I wanna let you know, Moshe," he's like, "I can imagine how much work," and I was literally crying. He's like, "Can imagine how much work you've done on yourself, that their way of how they present themselves in the world, how much had to happen," and for me, that was like, wow. To your point, it's like, can you get there?
You
And
did,
I think that this I wish that this
yeah,
show,
yeah.
right, this interaction gives that strength and hope to other people.
Well, first you should have said, well, their mother, you know.
Of course, I always do. I always do, by the
I'm
way.
sure, I'm
That
sure.
anything that's good, it's always mom,
Look, I think
because she tolerated me for all these years, all the insanity.
I think that there's a big conversation we need in society. And look, I think I'm a superhero, but I had kryptonite, right? Gary Vee, the public figure, is remarkably candorous. I struggled with candor in my personal and professional life with people I cared about, and I care about people fast, you know? So that meant almost everybody I knew. And so here's what I would say. I would say that we've got to get to a dialogue in society that makes us understand that there is a point in your life where you have to become the grown up, and the blame of your parents and your circumstance has to subside to the early chapters of your story, and you must take over the middle chapters to have the book end well.
Mm,
And my question to all of you that are listening right now that are over the age of 18 and are still blaming everyone but yourself, right?
yeah,
Often primarily your parents. I respect it. I mean, and I'm talking about real shit. I'm not talking about I'm talking about sexual abuse by parents. I mean, we're talking egregious shit. I'm talking about heavy drug usage, mental warfare, where you had double narcissistic parents and they just completely fucked you up, and all the other even tragedy like my parents had. Like, it's not something bad. Like, it just was unfortunate. My mother lost her mother at 5. That is, and then my mother's father went to jail for 10 years for being Jewish in the Soviet Union. Like,
mhm,
you want real
sure.
adversity? Like, so my question to everyone who's listening that is over the age of 18, it's very simple. When do you take over the middle chapter? Is it 18? Is it 21? Is it 22 after college? Is it 25? Is it 30? Is it 40?
Yeah,
When are you going to stop blaming the president of the United States, social media, your mother? And when are you going to say, okay, that sucked, comma, now I'm taking the wheel and I will put in, if I have the financial needs, the, the consistent therapy, the exercise, If you have less financial means, things you can control, your diet, what you listen to. Do you choose to listen to this podcast with us two,
Mm,
or do you choose to put on CNN and Fox News and get yourself scared out of your fucking mind? Do you choose?
right.
When, my friends, do you take over the middle of the chapters and write your life? Not what was written for you. I have empathy and compassion and sympathy. You were 3, you were 1, you were 7, you were 11, you were 15. I support the adversity that, let me say this nice and slow, all of you had. Everybody has had adversity.
Yeah.
I ask you a simple question, and I ask society, when are we ready to have this conversation? At what age do you go and become the driver, not the passenger?
Mm,
What is the age, brother? When is
yeah.
the appropriate time? What do
That's
we
it.
as society think? What is true for every individual? I'm sure it's different for everyone, but I'm tired of having dinner with a 57-year-old who spends 90% of their time shitting on their parents as an excuse for why they aren't happy or successful in life. It's
Mm,
not acceptable for that person. I don't fuck my judgment. Who gives a shit? It's an
yeah.
opinion. It's an asshole. I'm talking about for you. And that, brother, is the game right now. That is my obsession. When are you a
Yeah.
grown up? When are you in charge? When are you the author, not the reader? When?
Yeah. I'll tell you, I told my wife the other day, look, I'm 45. I said, it doesn't matter. There's no more room, right? We live and we die, right? We go up, come and go. It's us, right? Our parents are older. They don't have as much energy. The world is only people. This is what it is. And it's you, it's me. This is us. At least, yeah, some people start when they're 20. I know my son, he wanted to finish college. He's started law school, so he wants to try to kill it and do whatever it is he's doing early, but this is our time. You know, I know you mentioned for me, and not necessarily in an organized religion standpoint, but from a spiritual standpoint, for me, um, prayer
Yes.
is very important to me. And you mentioned, you were sitting with your siblings praying. Where's your spirituality today, and how does that help you strengthen your internal dialogue?
So I'm a Soviet Jew, which means nobody in my family was legally allowed to practice our religion from 1917.
Mm,
From 1917, Christianity, Catholic, Jewish, Muslim, banned. Communism. I think a lot of people, you know this, it sounds like, because your in-laws and your wife are from this Eastern European era. I
yeah.
don't think people understand the USSR was North Korea, not Iran,
Mm,
right? My wife is Mona is Persian. Her grandparents live in Iran. They can't visit the US because the US doesn't take them, but they can leave Iran. It's not a jail. They can just go to Turkey, Dubai, you know what I mean?
yeah. Sure.
My parents, my grandparents, and my great-grandparents, and me included in the first 3 years of my life, we weren't able to leave.
Mm,
There was no, "I'm gonna go to Italy to check out the Amalfi Coast."
right.
So, I did not grow up in a religious household by the standards, but as a spirituality, it's so funny, you'll appreciate this. Seems like you know my content well, and I'm
Mm,
picking up on what you're putting down. This is not gonna surprise you. I get 50 to 100 emails from religious leaders from every walk of life per day, per week.
mm,
It's constantly. And you know what they're saying. They're saying, "Gary," and it's always so funny. They're like, "Gary, you're probably not aware of this, but you're really speaking the word." I'm like, No, I'm not. Of course I'm aware." Like, you know what I mean? Of course I understand that so much of what comes out of my mouth naturally speaks on the beautiful frameworks of every religion, the good side of, the great side. Um, I'm undereducated. I didn't grow up in that environment. I think I got kicked out of Hebrew school in 1 second because I was such a bad student.
mm,
Like, I definitely grew up in a household where, like, you would pray to God for, like, if you were scared about something like this, like, if grandma was, like, going to the hospital, you gotta pray to God, like, so she doesn't die, like, and then as I got older, you know, I
mm,
feel that I like humanity. I like people. I like love. I like nice. I like neighborly. I like good. And whether that's spiritual or religion, I'm not overly passionate of quantifying it from a labeling framework. I love fellow human beings in a way that is unwavering and fucks with a lot of people in my life because they claim to be all loving, but in times of conflict and fear, they're quick to be comfortable with someone else's demise, different gender, different race, different religious POV, different political affiliation, different nationalistic framework. I, on the other hand, live a beautiful life where 8.2 billion people are on my team and I'm on theirs.
I love that. I mean, I think that's a oneness. Took me a long time. I grew up, again, very Orthodox Jewish, but today, right, the greatest wars have happened
Yep.
because of religion,
Yes,
right?
that's right.
So in the end of the day, we're here. We don't know how we came here,
That's
and we
right.
leave, and we don't know what the story is. And we talk about love, but true love. Where do I see that? I talk about like unconditional love. It means without condition, and you train that. You're forced to train that. I'm sure where you to your parents, you to your children, and you say you to your wife. Everyone's like, oh, next, I just with conditions. They say, oh, unconditional love, but true unconditional love when the insanity is happening, are you there unwavering as a friend and not asking questions over and over and over again? That's what builds character. That's the only thing. I don't see, right? You saw that with your mom and dad, right? You see that, and that's the hope with the common denominator. I want to talk about the things we have in common as people, as humans, not the things that divide us all day long. Like you mentioned CNN, all the fear, all the stuff. Forget about that. This show is about that.
I think it's profound, brother. I think it's very important what you're doing and what you're speaking on. I just find it incredibly audacious
Mm,
to think that the world should be the way that you view it
mm,
and that you should go around and impose that will on everyone else. I find it hyper flawed, incredibly not empathetic that people grow up in different environments with different circumstances and different context points of view. And hate is easy and lazy, and love is hard
yeah.
and worth it. And it's very clear to me.
What's one thing today that you're deeply grateful for?
The health of the
Mm,
people I care about, nothing else. I actually don't know if I care about anything else, to be very
yeah,
frank. I don't really give a lot of energy to anything else, you know?
yeah. I had some health issues personally myself and people that
Sorry.
I love, and I agree. I concur
I just
because
I
everything yeah, nothing else matters.
it was very funny. This was what was nice about having old great-grandma and grandma, Jewish, Russian, old G grandparents, like, everything, like, literally everything, like, not just even toasting to good health, right? Na zdrowie, to good health. Like, everything, like, great-grandma Anya, right? Great-grandma Anya, like, "Let's go walk across the street, to good health and God's will, to good health." You're like, it was such a
All day long.
thing, right? All it was such a currency, and it's also just I'm very practical too. Not only am I spiritual and optimistic, but I'm wildly practical. It's wildly practical to only give a fuck about health.
Mm,
Everything everyone's listening and right now thinking about, everything they care about. Am I gonna make more money? Am I gonna lose my job? Does that boy like me? Does that girl like me? Is blah, 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 blah. Everything, everything. If I told you right now, think of the single person you love the most right now.
mm,
Child, sibling, mother. They just died.
mm,
Now tell me how important what you were just worried about is. I find it to be remarkably practical and incredibly obvious. And unfortunately, humans collectively 8.2 people deep have lost their way about worrying about dumb shit.
mm. All day long and everything. I wanna say thank you, Gary. I really appreciate it. I don't know if you're ever down here in Miami. I know you are sometimes. I'm here, doing my thing. Really, really appreciate it. And hopefully, one person, that's the thing, right? You could pick and choose. And that's what I told my wife. I said, I put this content out, and I'm sure you do. You could take what you want. We've done about 250 episodes. I'm like, just take what you want to whoever it is, whatever fills your soul. then hopefully we're helping one person at a time. That's it. That's all we can do.
Yeah, here's how I think about that. It always works for me because if you actually change the perspective of one human being, like actually, like somebody goes from like, life sucks and everything's fucked and fuck this and fuck that to, oh shit, that was my fault of thinking that way. Now that I don't feel that, now that I understand that, actually, if you look around, a lot is remarkably good.
Mhm.
If one person does that, that is a profound impact.
I definitely see that. And during this journey, so whoever chooses to go on the journey, I just want to say this. Definitely people will have loneliness, imposter syndrome. People will shed away all those things. But on the other side, where you've talked about that supernova, on that other side, you feel alive with nothing. You don't need anything. Like you said, the health, you're okay, you're good. The people you love are good. And that fills you. And how amazing is that?
Yeah, I mean,
Uh,
the concept, first of all, imposter syndrome is slang for insecurity, right? So that will happen. Second, to your point, if you're going to a better place and people leave you, that means they're stuck in a bad place. They are mad at you because they're envious of you starting the process of getting into a better place and they're still stuck. Now you can't take them with you until you yourself are in a good place.
mm,
You can't help someone unless you're strong. So if you actually for all the I get so many conversations, brother. They're like, "Gary, you don't get it. I can't leave my fucking people. Like, my whole family's fucking fucked up. Like, I'm not gonna leave them." No, no, you're not leaving them. If you get out of the gutter, you can then and get good, you're gonna throw the rope and pull them all out of the gutter.
yeah.
The reason I'm always helping is because 'cause I'm out.
It has to be from a place of love and empathy. I know you talk about everything is about empathy for you. I know that, and it has to be that way. I had a former CIA agent on the, and I just was going to say this last point because I thought it was profound, and the difference between perception and perspective, right? Your ego versus what's going on around you. The difference, understanding the other people. But I wanted to say again, thank you so much, Gary. Really, it's been an honor. Thank you.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you
Take
so
care.
much. You're welcome. Thank you for tuning in. If you're enjoying Common Denominator, make sure to hit like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Leave a review and share the podcast with a friend for more stories that inspire, challenge, and connect us all. We appreciate you listening.